Yeah. Sorry.
How's that?
What a start to the reading. A yawn. Well, I wrote a poem today. Let's see. I won't say if it's good or bad. I don't know.
I don't think you can write a bad poem.
Well, I've written a few stinkers. So was it last Sunday or something? I went to a poetry and oud performance. So this is what came out of it. An oud is kind of a Middle Eastern guitar. All right. And as usual, it's in numbers, because that seems to be all I can write these days.
I haven't figured out how to do that.
I don't know how not to do it now, because otherwise I have to make a whole poem hang together. It's, I'm too lazy to do that. Just write a whole string of little poems and hope they go together. All right, number one. The second fingers touch the strings of the oud. Something ancient and soulful vibrates our world. The moment before seems like a void, barren of spirit. Number two. The player is Armenian, a people steeped in rich culture and sorrowful tragedy. The music sounds through the centuries, the soul of the people that refuses to die. The Armenians were almost wiped out by the Turks at one point. Number three. I think of women weaving on their looms, singing and chanting, connecting their life with warp and weft, bright colors and designs, a piece of heaven shining through, joy and sadness. Number four. The music of the oud's strings touching the heart of a people, vibrating timelessly, endearing, life always goes on until the final cosmic ah.
Hmm,
Got some
I like it.
promise. Needs work, but I don't like the ending much, but I'll fix it. Let's see how I do. Oh, I read some of my poetry. This one's called Creativity. I once asked my artist brother, "Why don't you have any paintings on your walls?" He said, "The white walls invite my imagination." I could relate. I don't read that much. A few poems a day to prime the pump. A blank canvas, the white page, sometimes terrifying, but a necessary beginning. Often I start by merely describing what's around me. Then from a place I don't control, guests arrive. In a field, it may be a duck splashing into a lake. If I'm in a cafe, it might be a pretty girl with mismatched socks. Or they might be crazy, like a bear coming in to order coffee. Creative folk are often followers of the lunatic moon. And sometimes a more essential world meets our open gaze. And we see for a moment back before time. And we sit with holy men around a campfire somewhere in the Himalayas. I always like
I
that.
like I like the mismatched socks.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. Sounds like something I would do. belonging. Sleepwalking through the forest, a solitary man, worried about things 1,000 miles away, until the tree roots speak to my feet. My heart wakes up. Together we travel up the ancient elm trunk to where light meets soul. No longer alone, we know where we belong. Stories. Looking out over my reading glasses, I see a world seemingly without stories until I notice a mystery. A hummingbird is dipping his tongue to a pear leaf. Silly bird, does he think it's a flower? Then I realize he's drinking the tiny drops of water that have accumulated there overnight. Okay, it isn't War and Peace, but it gave me joy, and my heart didn't need to be manipulated to feel it.
That's interesting. Your heart didn't need to be manipulated to feel it. I like that line.
Yeah. You know what I hate the most is those movies that manipulate you into hating people. I really despise that. Well, here's one I wrote for Robert Frost. A swinger of birches. Here's a quote by Robert Frost. One could do worse than be a swinger of birches. Like Frost's swinger of birches, I grew up far from town, played alone in the redwood forests and the dry, dusty fire roads on Mount Tamalpais, marveled at the fog snaking up the valleys, hot, sweaty skin, refreshed but cool. It maybe made me a nature poet, and also as consequence, a little out of step with the world. Now when busy life envelops me, I want to return to those dusty roads, smell the pristine sage, be at peace in the quiet. Yet I know it wasn't all so pleasant. Loneliness, desires, dissatisfactions were then as now. I have no birches to swing on, but I know about going up and down. I've learned to swing so high I'm nearly in heaven, and I accept the coming back, landing in this uncertainty. Yet sometimes I see it all in the swinging. Yes, it's good to be a swinger of birches. The coming and going. Seeing is all about appreciating the ride.
I've always felt a little bit like I was a little out of step with the rest of the world, too.
I think if you're a poet, that comes with the territory.
I think you're right.
Oh, here's a little haiku. Pears. The pears, blushing red, lean down the slender branches within my reach. Oh, I'll read this one since I just ate a muffin. Muffin top. Peeling the paper down, I look at the accordion shape left on the muffin. The muffin had no choice but to assume this shape. My belly is like the muffin top, flowing over its containment. Friends tell me it's unhealthy, but isn't it the tastiest part of the muffin? When I was younger, I was the uncooked dough. I was free and limber. I could hang upside down in trees. In school, I learned to sit still, stiffly straight. Later, in confusing growing up, I slouched, feeling shy, insecure. Society put ideas on my body. Neckties, suit jackets, tight shoes, military postures. Girls learned to wear bras, girdles. All the time our natural movements were getting lost. And what of the mind? Body and mind are connected. It got more rigid too, more removed from natural empathy. It learned to rationalize bestial things. I've lost interest in the proper posture. I want to swing in trees again, roll around unseemly on the ground, find my natural self again. the one who can waste time watching the birds and quit worrying about the bottom line, recapture the wisdom of natural movement and natural thought and feeling. I want to be like a scone, spreading out wherever it needs, to flow out into existence and find my real self. Yeah.
Nice one.
Yeah, I like that one better than I thought I would. Okay, where's my phone? So this is Glenda's poem. This is Glenda's poem of the week. Where are you? Sorry, I still have a little something with my tongue. It's hard to talk. All right. This is Glenda's poem. It's called Plenty of Time. Where did it go while I wasn't looking? Where did it journey when I looked away? All those days wishing for the next day to happen. How did dusk become night before morning could speak of promises of rose petals pressed in a book and mist-shrouded memories of all that we took to be ours forever if only we tried. And we were so sure that we never looked back, but breathlessly waited for the summers to treasure and all days ahead of us. Not what was just known, a gift of tomorrow, no, guarantee to ponder, or what we would leave in our footprints of dust. We accepted each new day as the one day that counted. I like that line. And how could we know it was already past? The minute we opened our eyes to the day spring, a memory created before fully formed. We walked together through each moment claimed, and still always thought that tomorrow would come. Those days drenched in melancholic verses of rhyme surrounded me in down-filled quilts in my mind, when we were just young, with plenty of time. Yep, where did it all go?
Yep.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
There's some good lines in there. Leaving the footprints of dust.
I like the one about pressed in a book too. I like that line.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I think girls did that more than guys, if I may be gender inappropriate. Funny, sometimes you buy a book in an old bookstore or something, and somebody's left a flower or something or a plant inside. Great, great. Okay.
Thank you.
Mm. Well, let's see. What do we got? Oh, I found this book. I bought it a long time ago. It's got all the old poets in it. Actually, it's got some. It had CDs also of some of the older poets reading their own stuff. Maybe someday I'll read. I can share some of those. Some of them are really old. Like I think there's one of that old Irish poet. What's his name? forget, reading in his brogue. Well, anyway, I opened it up and it came to Dorothy Parker, who I remember being kind of a funny, my glasses are crooked, being sort of a funny essayist, but apparently she wrote poetry too. So these will be sort of tongue-in-cheek poems. One perfect rose, a single flower he sent me since we met. All tenderly his messenger he chose, deep-hearted, pure, with scented dew still wet. One perfect rose. I knew the language of the floweret. My fragile leaves, it said, his heart enclose. Love long has taken for his amulet one perfect rose. Why is it no one ever sent me yet one perfect limousine, do you suppose? Ah, no, it's always just my luck to get one perfect rose. I thought that was kind of funny. Let's see. Here's one called Resume. Razors pain you, rivers are damp, acids stain you, all drugs cause cramp. Guns aren't lawful, nooses give, gas smells awful, you might as well live. Here's a little one. Men seldom make passes at girls who wear glasses. Afternoon. When I'm old and comforted and done with this desire, with memory to share my bed and peace to share my fire, I'll comb my hair in scalloped brands beneath my laundered cap, and watch my cool and fragile hands lie light upon my lap. Now I'll have a sprigged gown with lace to kiss my throat. I'll draw my curtain to the town and hum a purring note, and I'll forget the way tears and rock and stir my tea. But oh, I wish those blessed years were further than they be.
Yeah.
That's a little like your poem.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
I'll read one more verse. Let's see. The Lady's Reward. Lady, lady, never start conversation toward your heart. Keep your pretty words serene, never murmur what you mean. Show yourself by word and look, swift and shallow as a brook. Be as cool and quick to go as a drop of April snow. Be as delicate and gay as a cherry flower in May. Lady, lady, never speak of the tears that burn your cheek. She will never win him whose words have shown she feared to lose. Be you wise and never sad, you will get your lovely lad. Never serious be nor true, and your wish will come to you. And if it makes you happy, kid, you'll be the first it ever did.
Isn't it fun to read poems like that rhyme?
Yeah, it's kind of dated stuff, but it's funny.
Yeah, it is, but it's fun. It give us a chuckle.
Yeah, it's back when they had those. I forget what you call that.
It's how I learned to write poetry. But was rhyming. It took me a long time to move away from rhyming poetry.
Yeah, I never wrote rhymes because I started later when it wasn't in fashion. Well, here's Ogden Nash. He's another guy that writes funny poems. Let's see what he's got. Probably also a little dated. I do, I will, I have. How wise I am to have instructed the butler to instruct the first footman, to instruct the second footman, to instruct the doorman to order my carriage. I am about to volunteer a definition of marriage. Just as I know there were two Hagens, Walter and Copen, I know that marriage is legal and religious alliance entered into by a man who can't sleep with the window shut, and a woman who can't sleep with the window open. I know a couple like that. Moreover, I'm just as unsure of the difference between flora and fauna and flotsam and jetsam. I am quite sure that marriage is the alliance of two people, one of whom never remembers birthdays, and the other who never forgets them. And he refuses to believe there is a leak in the water pipe or the gas pipe, and she is convinced she is about to asphyxiate or drown. And she says, "Quick, get up and get my hairbrushes off the windowsill. It's raining in." And he replies, "Oh, they're all right. It's only raining straight down." That is why marriage is so much more interesting than divorce, because it's the only known example of the happy meeting of the immovable object and the irresistible force. So I hope husbands and wives will continue to debate and combat over everything debatable and compatible, because I believe a little incompatibility is the spice of life, particularly if he has income and she is patable. God, this is pretty dated stuff. That's funny. She is patable. Oh my God. I can write that nowadays. Well, should we read one more by him? I guess we're just going into the silly today. I must tell you about my novel. My grandpa wasn't salty, no hero he of fable. His English wasn't faulty, he wore a coat at table. His character lacked the color of either saint nor satyr. His life was rather duller than that of Walter Pater. Look at Grandpa, take a look. How can I write a book? His temper wasn't crusty, he shone not forth majestic, for barroom exploits lusty, or tyranny domestic. He swung not on the gallows, but went out to his salvation, while toasting stale marshmallows, his only disposition. Look at Grandpa, take a look. How can I write a book? My Uncle John was cautious, he never slipped his anchor. His probity was nauseous, in fact he was a banker. He hubbed no hubbas, and buckled he no swashes. He wore a pair of rubbers inside his galoshes. Look at my uncle, take a look. How can I write a book? My other Uncle Herbie just once enlarged his orbit the day he crushed his derby while cheering James L. Corbett. No topper he or wencher, he backed nor horse nor hoary. His raciest adventures a summons to the jury. Look at my uncles, take a look. How can I write a book? Round my ancestral menfolk there hangs no spicy aura. I have no racy kinfolk from Rome or Glockamora. Not nitwits, not Neapolitans, not Napoleons. The mill they were run of, my family weren't Mongolians. For whom can I make fun of? Look, no book.
You know who that? It reminds me of Dr. Zeus.
Yeah. You know, when I was in college and I wanted to write, I was a real shy kid, so I had not had too much experience in life, and I thought, God, how can I write about it? I have nothing to write about. Okay, let's see here.
Well, I wrote a poem about wooden ships, and I don't have one. So you don't have to know everything to write.
No, I learned that. In fact, I lived just enough life to kind of know a little bit of everything. Here's another poet I've heard of, W.H. Auden. I've heard of him. Let's see what he's got. Oh, where are you going? Oh, where are you going? Said reader to writer. That valley is fatal where furnaces burn. Yonder's the midden whose odors will madden. That gap is the grave where the tall return. Oh, do you imagine, said fair to fair, that dusk will delay on your path to the pass? Your diligent looking discover the lacking. Your footsteps feel the granite to grass. Oh, what was that bird? Said horror to hear. Did you see that shape in the twisted trees? Behind you swiftly the figure comes softly. The spot on your skin is a shocking disease. Out of this house, said writer to reader. Yours never will, said fair to fear. They're looking for you, said hearer to horror, as he left them there. And he left them there. Well, that sounded like the other
Mm.
ones. Let's see. What else have we got? Oh, here's Theodore Roethke.
It's pronounced Rutke.
Huh?
Theodore Roethke.
Oh, I
That's how you
always thought
pronounce his name. That's
Roethke.
Rutke. Rutke.
Okay, that's good to know. Let's see. I know he. I know he worked in his father's nursery, so he wrote a lot about plants and things. He also wrote kind of almost kid stuff. I think this is one. The sloth. In moving slow, he has no peer. You ask him something in his ear. He thinks about it for a year. And then before he says a word, there, upside down, unlike a bird, he will assume that you have heard. A most exasperating lug. You should call his manners smug. He'll sigh and give his branch a hug. Then off again to sleep he goes, still swaying gently by his toes. And you just know he knows, he knows. I knew a woman lovely in her bones. When small birds sighed, she would sigh back at them. Ah, when she moved more ways than one. The shapes a bright container can contain. Of her choice virtues only gods should speak. Of English poets who grew up on Greek, I'd have them sing in chorus, cheek to cheek. How well her wishes went. She stroked my chin. She taught me turn and counter-turn and stand. She taught me touch that undulant white skin. I nibbled meekly from her proffered hand. She was the sickle, I poor I the rake, coming behind her for her pretty sake. But what prodigious mowing we did make. Love like a gander and Love likes a gander and adores a goose. Her full lips pursed an errant note to seize. She played it quick, she played it light and loose. My eyes they dazzled at her flowing knees. Her several parts could keep a pure repose, or one hip quiver with a mobile nose. She moved in circles, and those circles moved. Let seed be grass, and grass turn to hay. I martyr to a motion not my own. What's freedom for? To know eternity. I swear she cast a shadow white as stone. Who would count eternity in days? The old bones live to learn her wanton ways. I measure time by how a body sways.
I love that poem. That was always one of my favorite poems of his.
Oh, you know that one? Oh, cool.
Yeah, I remember when my poetry teacher, okay, I'm coming. When my poetry teacher read it, I was like, whoa, that was intense.
I like the line that she moves in circles, but no circles move. I like that line.
Hmm. I always I always read his poems that were a little darker. These are more kind of sort of light. Okay, I'll read another of his then. My Papa's Waltz. The whiskey on your breath could make a small boy dizzy, but I hung on like death. Such waltzing was not easy. We romped until the pan slid from the kitchen shelf. My mother's countenance could not unfrown itself. The hand that held my wrist was battered on one knuckle, as every step you missed. My right ear scraped a buckle. You beat time on my head, with palm caked hard by dirt, then waltzed me off to bed, still clinging to your shirt. Ooh, running out of time. Got one
That's
more.
my other favorite poem of his. I'm a Roethke lover.
Oh, that's cool. I'm glad I'm reading them. Well, then we'll end with one more Rusky. The Waking. I wake to sleep and take my waking slow. I feel in my fate what I cannot fear. I learn by going where I have to go. We think by feeling what is there to know. I hear my being dance from ear to ear. I wake to sleep and take my waking slow. Of those so close beside me, which are you? God bless the ground, I shall walk softly there, and learn by going where I have to go. Light takes the tree, but who can tell us how? The lowly worm climbs up a winding stair. I wake to sleep and take my waking slow. Great nature has another thing to do. To me, to you and me, to take the lively air, and lovely learn by going where to go. This shaking keeps me steady, I should know. What falls away is always and is near. I wake to sleep and take my waking slow. I learn by going where I have to go. I think I've heard that one before. Well, guys, I think that's all the time we have.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Julie and Barbara.
Have a great week, you guys.
You too, Julie.
See y'all next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
guys. Bye.